Once we have memorized the different descending tracts, and now we have background knowledge regarding the different descending tracts that are sending back the information towards the spinal cord and towards the effector organs, now we should just have the overview regarding the different descending tracts and what are the particular functions that they're going to perform. So just to give you an overview, we must know that we have cortical spinal tracts, which are also known as the pyramidal tracts. And we have a lateral corticospinal tract, and on the other hand, we have an anterior corticospinal tract. Now, all of these tracts are basically responsible for performing the skilled voluntary movements. So it can be any kind of a movement that they can perform, or that an individual basically can enhance upon with the passage of time. As we are using the word skilled over here, so they can be basically improved with the passage of time. And usually, basically, there are a lot of memory channels that are running along these particular tracts. So that is why they're involved in the voluntary kind of actions and voluntary kind of movements, either flexions, extensions, or even they can be the rotational kind of movements that they're going to perform. Now, apart from these pyramidal tracts, we have another set of tracts which are also referred to as the subcortical tracts. So they basically have origins apart from the cortical regions. They can arise in the red nucleus, in the vestibular nucleus, in the olivary nuclei. So depending upon the different origins that they have, the different naming is given to these particular tracts, and they have their specific functions that they have to perform. Particularly, we have the reticulospinal tract. Now, the functions of the reticulospinal tract is basically the reflexes, the different reflexes that they're going to control. And specifically, when we talk about the reticulospinal tract, they are basically the fibers and the nerve cells that are present in a scattered form in the medulla, in the pons, and in the midbrain. So they are present in all of these structures, and from there on, they are descended down to the cervical or to the thoracic segments. And the different reflexes are basically controlled to these reticulospinal tracts. Moving on, we have the rubrospinal tracts. Now, in particular, when we talk about them, what is the basic function of these rubrospinal tracts? Particularly, we have the facilitation, which is provided to the activity of the flexor muscles, and it inhibits the activity of the extensor muscles or the anti-gravity muscles. What we mean by the flexor muscles or the extensor muscles or the anti-gravity muscles, there are different sets of muscles that perform the different movements. For instance, when we flex our arm, there are these particular muscles. For instance, we have the pec major muscle, which is responsible for the performing the flexion that is provided at the arm or at the elbow. So these set of muscles are basically provided through these particular rubrospinal tracts over here. And then obviously at the same time, when we are performing a movement, one set of muscles have to be facilitated, and on the other hand, the extensor muscles have to be inhibited. So this inhibition is provided again by the rubrospinal tracts. Moreover, we have the olivospinal tracts that are responsible for holding down the activity during performing the different actions. For instance, we have the different specialized kind of muscular activities, and they're under control of the olivospinal tracts. Then we have the vestibulospinal tracts. This particular set of tract or this particular fasciculus of tract, it basically facilitates the activity of the extensor muscles and it inhibits the activity of the flexor muscles. So this is the basic function that this vestibulospinal tracts have to perform. We have a complete individual tract which is known as the tectospinal tract. It basically starts off, as the name is indicating, it starts off from the tegmentum in the midbrain. Tegmentum is basically a structure in the midbrain from where it originates, and then it is going to descend down towards the spinal cord. Now, the tegmentum is in close relationship with the superior colliculi, which are basically getting the information from the visual reflexes, from the eyes. So from here on, whenever there is the stimulation of the superior colliculi, the messages are sent back through the tectospinal tract. So They're responsible for carrying out the visual reflexes whenever a person senses any kind of danger in his or her environment. He or she can respond to that particular visual stimulus or visual appearance in front of him or her. So this is how these descending tracts are basically focusing on and performing the different functions and sending back informations to the different target organs, and they have their different sets of functions that they have to perform.